Ladies and gentlemen, networking is the number one skill you can have in your business. I don't care what type of business you have, whether you are a wholesaler in real estate, whether you're a landlord, a real estate agent, a plumber, networking is key. And today I have a guest on, John Galan, from New York, but does deals in Florida, where we're going to be talking about how he's built his entire business off of the one word networking. John, how are you today?
I'm doing fantastic, man. Thank you for having me on here. It's a real pleasure to be on.
Of course, it's a pleasure to have you. It's a pleasure to have you. So you live in New York, correct?
Yes,
And you're doing deals in Florida. What
correct.
what areas in Florida are you working in?
So I started off in just like Tampa Bay, which is like Tampa, St. Petersburg area. Then I went to Orlando. Now we're doing the whole state.
Awesome, awesome. And so we'll jump into that. But before we get into what you're doing in the present day, I always want to take it back. So take me back to before you got started in real estate. What was your life like? What were you doing, and what eventually led you into getting into real estate?
Yeah. So before real estate, I was a CPA. I was just doing people's taxes, working at a small public firm in New York City. And I started like looking through all the high net worth individuals' tax returns I was doing, and I noticed, a lot of them were, saving money, saving taxes through the real estate they owned, and also making a big chunk of their money from real estate. So, I was like, you know what, there's got to be something to this real estate thing. So I started, like everybody does, just started just consuming, but not really doing anything. As an accountant, you really want to try to get as precise as possible in numbers. So there was whole lot of like analysis paralysis going on. And for about 3 years or so, it was just me consuming stuff, not consistently, but just consuming content and not really doing anything. And then one thing led to another. I wound up listening to the Secret Agent Challenge 1.0 that Jamil put out in December of 2021. And I was like, you know what? Let me see. They had a sweepstakes to, if you're one of the callers, you could potentially win uh, a trip down to Arizona and shadow Jamil, Pace, and Ryan for the day. And I was like, oh, cool. Let me try that. Went in for the sweepstakes. And then I get a call from Astro asking me questions. And I was like, oh, sweet. I'm going to win. The next thing I know, they're like, do you want to join Astro Flipping? And I was like, wait, what? So I started like thinking, I was like, how the hell did I even get to this point where now I'm getting asked to join a mentorship? And I said I never would. And like I kind of just my whole like life kind of flashed, like my past flashed. I was like, how did it lead to here? I started like as an art major, then I went to accounting, then I was doing this, and I was doing that, and I was like, holy crap! Like this isn't really a coincidence. It kind of just like led me to this spot, and I felt like a strong gut feeling to like do it. So I was like, all right, screw it, and I joined, and then made my first call January 23rd of 2022, and then I quit my job in June of 2022. Got my first deal done April 15th, though.
Awesome. So 2 months after getting your first deal, you quit your job.
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much quit my job as soon as I came back from Clever Summit. I remember I was like, because I was working from like 4 or 5 in the morning till like 11 o'clock at night during busy season because my W-2 job was 9 to 9, six
Hmm.
days a week, pretty much. So, and I wanted to do at least 4 hours of real estate, so I had to wake up earlier. And pretty much after the the Clever Investor or Clever Summit, I kind of crashed. Like there was like a Monday or Tuesday I was back, and I um, remember taking a nap on my couch, and I woke up to like 8 different text messages from my boss just telling me all these things we're gonna have to plan to do, and I was like, actually, I quit, and I gave him like a 2 month notice after I did my first deal. So I gave him a 2 month notice, and that's why I wound up actually leaving in June, but I quit in in April.
Okay, awesome. From your CPA job, you went to Clever Summit, and then from there did you is that where you learned how to do your first deal, or did you already join Astro at that point, and that's what kind of gave you the education to do your first deal?
Yeah, so I Clever was in April. I had a thing with Jamil that says Jamil and Pace said on a wholesale hotline, like if I get my first deal done by April 15th, because I told Jamil, I was like, I'm not shaving my beard until I get my first deal done. I had like a pretty hefty beard. And they were like, if you get your first deal done before Clever Summit, we'll shave your beard on stage. So I was like, all right, done. And I wound up getting it done the week before. So yeah, Clever. Before Clever, I was already in Astro, so I was already making calls. I didn't really have a super dialed in plan or anything. I was kind of all over the place.
Hmm.
And yeah, so I co-wholesaled my first deal in California for like $4,900, and yeah, so I got it. And then after Clever, I was still super confused as what exactly I was going to do, but I still just quit my job because I knew I didn't want to be a W-2 anymore, and I had kind of calculated like, if I make $0, how many months could I survive? And I calculated I could survive about like 6 months. So I was like, screw it. I'm going to do it. I know what I'm going to do, what I need to do. And I just was like, I'm not doing this W-2 anymore. So I just quit and just went full force.
I love that. I love that. So let's backtrack a little bit just to give some clarity for the audience that may not know some of the words that we're using. What is Clever Summit and what is Astro Flipping? Because some people may not know what those two things are.
Yeah. So Clever Summit was just a real estate conference in Vegas. And Astro Flipping is Jamil Damji's wholesaling mentorship.
Okay. And what do they teach in that mentorship?
They teach agent outreach and co-wholesaling pretty much.
Cool. Okay. Awesome. So yeah, just wanted to give some clarity in case some people in the audience didn't know like what courses or classes we were discussing. But what I want to shine a light on and want to ask you. So you got your first deal. 2 months later, you quit your job. The day you quit your job, or let's say like the next week after you quit your job, what were some of the emotions that were going through your head? Of like now you just did your first deal, your life just did this whole 180 where now you quit your W-2, you're going full into wholesaling. What's going through your head?
So, like, at what point, like in April when I gave my 2 months, so I still have my W-2 for another 2 months, or after those 2 months were up and I was officially an
After,
entrepreneur?
so like in June.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, so what had wound up happening, like during those 2 months period, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna try to make a bunch of money before I quit, so I'm fine. Like, I wanna try to make $100,000 before June. So I set a big goal for myself. I wound up making nothing. I had not did not get another deal done during that time period, but I was like, that's fine. Like, I'm being tested right now. So I wound up going to the Astro Flipping Mastermind, which is just it's a it was like a small little mastermind for astro flipping students. That if you were able to pay for it, you could go to it. So I did that right before, like the week before my last day. So I went there trying to find clarity on what exactly am I going to do. I was all over the place. I was doing like, I tried direct to seller. I was doing a lot of micro flipping. I was trying to be a nationwide wholesaler in multiple markets. But then I went there to find clarity. Like, should I just do Florida and just do agent outreach? And at that mastermind, I kind of figured that out. So as soon as I came back from that, my job was no more. And I was like, all right, let's start it. So I just started doing agent outreach in just Florida. And, I was like, hey, this is a grind, but this is a lot better than accounting. So, I started just by live streaming my calls on Zoom to the Astro community so people could listen to me make calls and kind of get my name out there. But within about 2 weeks or so from leaving my job, I wound up getting another like 3 deals done right in that short time period.
Wow, that's incredible. Okay. And so talk to me about your first deal. I know you mentioned there was a micro flip in California that you did a little bit before you had quit
Yeah.
your W-2. How did you end up finding that deal, and what were some of the things that happened to get that deal done? Walk us through that first deal.
Yeah. Okay. So I was doing a lot of micro flipping because I was in busy season. I couldn't really be calling agents because I didn't have like set times and there was a lot of follow ups with agents. But what I did was I was just reaching out to a bunch of wholesalers. Like I was reaching out to like 50 wholesalers a day, at least on Facebook, seeing where they had deals, and I would just leverage the community to try to find buyers. But the day I got this lead, it was actually another Astro student, Dominique. She said, I have something in Vallejo, California. I was like, awesome. I was like, I don't have any buyers in Vallejo. Is it okay if I send it to some other people that I know that, dispo in California? She says, yes, that's fine. I sent it to these 4 people already. So just so you know, I was like, all right, thanks for that. And then what I did is I went into the Astro Facebook group and I just typed in Vallejo to see how many people mentioned the word Vallejo and like they had buyers in there. And I reached out to every single wholesaler in Astro that was working around Vallejo, California. And I got connected with another Astro student, Angelo, who liked the deal. He sent it out, and we wound up getting a buyer the day after. But that's not where the story ended. I was about to send over the assignment agreement to the buyer, and then I get a call from Dominique that says, "Hey, my partner has changed their mind. They convinced the seller to seller finance portion of the house, so they want to take it down themselves." And I was like, "Are you kidding me?" I was like, "I have a buyer ready to go. Like, what's like? Why are they doing this? Like, this does not look good, type of thing." She goes, "I'm sorry, but my hands were tied." So I was like, "Damn, dude." I was like, "I'm so close to that first deal." I was like, "All right, whatever. I'm still gonna keep going." And then the day after that, I get another call back. "Hey, so the seller's attorney advised his client against that, so they want to wholesale again." I was like, "Okay, but can you guys give me like a 24-hour exclusivity, because I had my guy ready to go, and if you're telling everybody again, like at least give me the like the courtesy of seeing if I could get my guy back again." So they said fine. They gave me a 24-hour exclusivity. After that, I was able to talk to the guy. After some back and forth, we were able to lock him back in again, and we assigned it. He put up EMD, and it was a Friday. Put up EMD right away, and at that point, the deal was assigned, and then we had closed, I think, like 2 weeks later.
Awesome.
And
And you
the EMD was in on April 15th, the last day of tax season 2.
cool. And then you closed 2 weeks after. And how much did you make on that very first deal?
$4,995.
I love it, man. And how did you feel after that first deal? Like what were some of the emotions going through?
Well, first I was very excited because I had told myself from day one in January, I was like, I want to get a deal done before busy season's over.
Mm-hmm.
So that was like my intention, right? I wanted to get a deal done before April 15th. And then on top of that, knowing that I had that challenge too, like Jamil and Pace challenged me to get it done before, and they'd come to shave my beard. Like being able to just get it done, like it felt super good to get it done and get it done in the time that I set for myself, right? That intention. So I was super excited about that, and just having that proof of concept. Like I just remember my whole body was just like tingling, and like I was so damn expensive. I was so damn excited about that. So yeah, I just remember just being elated. And then I was like, damn, this feels good. And the amount of money I made on this one deal was just the amount of money that I would get from my friggin' bonus after busy season. Like I would just get a 5K bonus after working, crazy hours doing tax returns. And I was like, shit, this is so much better. So I'm done with accounting.
So you finished with accounting,
Yeah,
and you get to keep your beard, and you got paid $5,000
for like the rest of the week.
So you finished you got rid of your W-2. You made what you would have made on a bonus, and you got to keep your beard. So that was been a pretty good feeling.
Oh no, they shaved it.
They
The
shaved it.
goal,
Oh dang,
yeah, they shaved it on stage. Yeah, in front of like 2,000 people.
that's hilarious.
I know. That was another awesome time. Just being able to have that happen, because I was visualizing that happening, and that's
Yeah.
So I was like, that feels nice. It feels good. And now to
That's
this day, I have a good story about my first deal, right?
Mhm. That's incredible, man. So okay. So now let's flash forward into the present time, right? You did your first deal 2 years ago, and now today, what is your business currently looking like? So like, how are you currently finding your deals, and can you run us through like kind of what everything you have is going on in your business currently?
Yeah. So right now, we're doing anywhere from 10 to 20 deals a month. I have 11 people on my team. We do a lot of JV deals, so I sell a lot of other people's deals, and I'm only in Florida. I'm not nationwide right now. I'm only in Florida, working on building my national franchise with my partner Helena Wu, and yeah, so we do a lot of JV deals. I think so far this year, like last year, we did about 100 deals, and I think 70 of them were JV deals, and the other 30 were our direct to agent deals.
Awesome.
So we do sell. We have a really strong dispositions team. Um, well, it's pretty much only Helena selling the deals, but she's a really, really good dispo. So that's what we're doing right now. A lot of the leads are now inbound. So a lot of the problem I found when I was trying to do micro flipping is I'm reaching out to wholesalers trying to sell their deals.
Hmm.
And at the most part, they don't know who I am. And they're like, why, do you have the wholesaler ego where it's like, you know, I don't want you touching my deal. Direct end buyers only, like add on top, or I'm not JV or no net, nothing like that. So there's a whole lot of like hoops you got to jump in the beginning. But right now, since I've been very active in like TTP, I've been active in Astro, I've been active in Sub Two, and on social media, and now people know I sell deals. A lot of our JV deals are inbound. It's people reaching out to us, asking us for help to sell their deal. So they're a lot more willing to work with us. So I would say 99% of our deals from JV deals are inbound leads. And
That's
then,
incredible.
yeah, and then the rest of them are my sales team calling agents and making offers on market and for pocket listings.
Awesome. So you have 11 people on your team. I assume that includes you and your partner Helena, and then who else is on your team?
No,
What
me and
what?
my partner Helena, then we're 13.
Okay. So then the rest of the 11, what are their roles in the company?
So out of those 11, let me just check my Discord. I think one, two, three, four, five of them are VAs, and six are American-based employees. So the six, four of them are salespeople. Three are doing agent off market. One of them is doing MLS offers. We just hired a new dispositions rep. So that's the fifth one, and then the sixth one is he's our like integrator. He's and slash underwriter. So he took over. He took over from me the underwriting portion, and is in charge of like the workflows and anything integrations. So that's what the six are doing. And then for the VAs, one of them is doing underwriting. He is the initial underwriter. The other is he's in charge of the deals email. So all of the JV deals that come in, he's in charge of managing them, adding them to the board, giving feedback. So all the initial conversations, like I'm closing the wholesalers, but he's talking to them. We have a admin, like a skip trace VA. He's skip tracing buyers from tax records and also running the properties through the soft vet process I made for MLS deals. The other ones are like he's doing a lot of the deal text drafting, the paperwork drafting, like in-house TC slash admin. And then another VA, she's doing buyer intake. So she's on the dispo side, doing a lot of the buyer intake and initial conversations and negotiations with buyers.
Wow. Okay, that's a pretty hefty team. So through all of that, so with a team of 11, strictly doing agent off market MLS and wholesaler deals means you don't really have a lot of or you don't have any marketing that's going towards direct to seller. Like you're not doing the traditional cold calling where you're cold calling sellers, direct mailing sellers, anything like that. So let me ask for a business like yours, what is your overhead?
Yeah. Well, first, I just want to say we are going to eventually go. Once I get the direct to agent and the JV side kind of fully delegated out, we're going to wind up going direct to seller as well, implement that into the Florida operation. And then once that's all delegated, move on to another market. But our overhead ranges from $20,000 to $25,000 a month.
Awesome. Awesome. And then with the deal flow that you guys are doing, what's the revenue that you guys are generating on a monthly
Anywhere,
basis?
anywhere between 150 to 200,000.
I love it. That's incredible. Those are incredible margins. And
Yeah.
and so with doing JV and doing stuff with agents, since these people are bringing you deals that are already kind of like I guess already pre-vetted, like they already have had the relationship with the seller, and you're not really you don't really have that contact with the seller. What are some of the challenges that you may have with JVs?
Yeah, I mean, so the challenges with JVs are one, you're not direct, so you don't have the control of the deal.
Hmm.
I mean, there are times where, like if we give you a buy price and do anything extra, like I always ask for 72-hour exclusivity. Otherwise, I say just lock it up, whatever number you think is best, and I'll try to sell it for you. But on top of that, like you have to deal with them having other buyers and some games some wholesalers play. So there's a little bit more. There's an added level of a personality that you have to deal with, but for the most part, besides dealing with some knuckleheads, it's not too bad because a lot of the repeat business we do is just a couple of wholesalers. So yeah, we might get 50 leads in a day from like let's just say 40, 45 different wholesalers, but out of those 45 or out of like the hundreds or whatever wholesalers that reach out, I would say predominantly most of our deals come from like 10, 15 wholesalers.
Hmm.
So if someone is like a kind of a pain in the ass to deal with, I just won't deal with them again.
Awesome.
You know,
And
like we'll say no to wholesalers. Like if they're doing highest and best, we don't really work highest and best. It's just too much friction with our buyers and too many hoops and games and all that stuff. Like we're just like either I'll net you a certain price if that's cool, awesome, or we JV 50-50. Like that's really it. If it's highest and best, bring all offers by this date. Like to be honest with you, I'm not going to work the deal. I won't touch it. So that we have some things how we disqualify people first, and then if they
mhm,
pass through that, then we start working with those wholesalers. If you can't send us a redacted PSA before we send it out, I just won't send out the deal because too many times have I dealt with people that said they have the contract and they only had a verbal acceptance, and then buyer's ready to go, they can't get it, and it's just a whole mess. So
yeah.
throughout the years, I've made my mistakes, learned from them, and I've come up with a whole system and process for it. And right now, we're seeing that it works really well.
Awesome, awesome. And so a lot of these wholesalers, they're coming in from the brand that you've built through these mentorships. So to do sub two, TTP, Astro, other ways that you branded yourself. So is that how you've gotten these core I guess your core clients as far as wholesalers go that are working with you?
Yep, exactly. Social
And
media, the communities, and then if they're newer, just like kind of helping out and providing value, and then a lot of the times when you're like helping somebody out and giving them answers and answering questions and all that, you kind of get not loyalty, but like they're like, you know what, yeah, I like the way you work. Let's just keep doing business. Here's my contract. See what we can do. JV 50-50. I'm cool with it. I trust you guys. So we had a wholesaler the other day. He sent me the deal. They just locked it up, asked me for the number. They're like, hey, man, we got a 3 business day IP. Honestly, we're not even going to try to sell it ourselves. You get it done for us. And I was like, all right, you got it. And then like an hour later, we sold it for them at full ask.
nice, that's awesome. That's awesome. So
Yeah.
so then these people that are you're working with on the wholesalers, are they, for the most part, I know it differs between different people, of course, but are a lot of these people just giving you all the deal that they're generating through their direct to seller business? Like they're bringing them to you for you to handle the dispo side rather than them trying to go out and handle dispo and manage acquisitions. They're just giving it all to you, or is it kind of like on a split basis where sometimes they'll dispo it, but sometimes they'll give it off to you? Like, are you taking over a lot of these companies' dispositions?
So yeah, so like nobody's sending me a deal and be like, hey, this is a warm lead. See if you could close him. Like we don't do that.
Right.
We're not closing leads. They'll get the property on the contract, or before sent, then they'll ask me for what I think the buy number should be. We'll give them the buy number, with the condition of the exclusivity for those 3 business days. But yeah, for the most part, they're just sending us contracts and ask for help. Now, a lot of them are going direct to agent or pocket listings, and then the ones going direct to seller, I would say usually, unless like I said, I've helped them out a lot on the beginning part of it. Usually, the direct to seller wholesalers want to net a certain number, and I'm like, hey, if I could net you the number, I don't, yeah, that's fine, as long as it's not like blasted out on Investor Lift and Facebook and all this stuff. Like if it's on Investor Lift at like 220 and Facebook at 220 all over, and now you're telling me I got to add on top of 220, it's just going to scream daisy chain, and the buyer's going to be like, I saw this on Investor Lift at 220. What do you do? So that's like my rule too. Like I will never add on top if it's all over social media. You know what I mean? Because then it just makes me, it screams I'm not direct, and so like I'll be like, hey, that's cool. I can net you 5K under, but I'm not sending it out above. So
Hmm.
again, it's everything situational, but for the most part, I'd say most of our deals are 50-50 JVs, and we just sell their contracts.
Awesome, awesome. And so with managing, sales reps and with dispositions, I assume there needs to be some accountability, like KPIs that are in place to make sure that you guys are bringing in the 10 to 20 deals a month. So let me ask, what are some of the key metrics that you guys are tracking on the acquisition side to be able to do 10 to 20 deals a month?
Yeah. So hold on, let me just pull up our stoplight report. So for underwriting for micro flips or JV deals, we need to get in 180 leads a week, and we need out of those 180, 50 of them need to make it past the email. Meaning, like if they're so I have a soft vet process, right? So if you send me an email, right, and we get a lead, that's a lead. So if we look at the lead and it's already horrible, it doesn't get moved to the underwriting board for underwriting team to underwrite.
Hmm.
So out of those 180, 50 of them we want ideally to move to the underwriting board per week. And then out of those 50, we want to send 10 of those out live a week. So we want to ideally send out at least 10 microflips, at least 10 JV deals to our buyers a week. And then those usually result in, anywhere from 3, sometimes even 8 assignments.
Awesome. Okay.
So
So
that's for microflip. For our direct, we want each sales rep for going off market to make 25 new agent relationships and get 2 off market leads a day. And then for the MLS one, we want our sales rep to be making 50 offers a week, both new and follow up offers.
awesome. So how many offers are your MLS agents, or sorry, your MLS sales reps trying to get a week from the MLS?
50.
50 offers.
Yep.
Okay, gotcha. And then with the 20, and then with direct to agents, you
That's
want
per
two
act. Though. That's per act. So I have
per act.
one
Okay,
MLS rep. She's making anywhere from 40 to 50 offers a week.
awesome. That's incredible. That's incredible. And then with the agents, with direct to agents, you want 25 added a day, and then 2 off market leads a day.
Yep.
Awesome.
So
Okay.
that one's not as heavily on offer focus. It's more on relationship focus because the idea is to just get the pocket listings,
Right.
right? So you got to start building up that pipeline.
Right. I love it. Okay. Cool. And then so questions here. So with the 180 leads a week from your JVs that you're getting, and then you have 50 that move to the actual underwriting stage, that 130 that gets sifted out, how do you guys sift that out? Is that what with one of your is that what one of your VAs does? Is that what one of your American employees handles, or is that you that handles that?
The soft vetting.
Yeah, yeah. So talking about how you guys vet those 180 leads a week that are coming from your wholesalers.
Yeah. So the one who's soft vetting, the deals is Manny is my VA. So
Hmm.
he's going through, like, I made the process super simple for him.
Hmm.
So he's going through, he's transitioning everything from the email to the Trello board. Then underwriting's going to underwrite it. So he's doing all of that. He's in charge of the email, giving back any feedback or anything. And when it comes down to closing the wholesaler or negotiating, I'm usually giving them a call.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. And then you have your in state or in the country sales reps doing the agent outreach, and then the direct MLS offers. Okay, awesome. And then how did you find your American employees? How did you find these sales reps? How did you train them? Like, what are your tips for finding good salespeople?
Yeah, I mean, so our salespeople, one is in Astro, one is in Sub Two. One we got from a recruiter, a recruiter that interviewed a couple of candidates, um, and then she passed, and then we interviewed her. And then we had another one. Where did we go from? I think it was from a LinkedIn job post.
Okay.
So we got that one. We got those. So two from the community, and then 2 from either a recruiter or like a job post.
Mhm.
And then what was the other part of the question?
Oh, I just wanted to get your tips on how you find good salespeople.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, always be looking, like always be recruiting, right? So
Hmm.
like I'm always mentioning to people anytime they're like, what do you need help with? I always need a sales manager. I need salespeople. I need a dispo, and I always need deals. So just constantly be saying, because you don't know, like your cousin might know somebody that's been in sales that's an absolute killer on the phone, and then you just get a solid one. Like ideally, the best salespeople have jobs. So like you're not going to find an amazing salesperson that has no job. So you're looking for people that have jobs. So you can find people on LinkedIn by making posts that way, making social media posts, word of mouth. You could find people fresh out of college that don't have a job, but they're just like hungry and ready to go. So, I've also heard Brent say like, cops are fantastic, acquisitions reps on the phones because they have a really good EQ.
Hmm.
Um, so like you can find them anywhere. It's just, you have to find out what kind of, like traits you're looking for in your sales rep, and then hire from there.
Hmm.
But just always be looking, and you'll find them. I would say.
And are you and the commonality between your salespeople and maybe some of the successful salespeople you've seen in other businesses, are you seeing them be like what's the common personality trait that you see with them, if there is any? Like, are a lot of them like this very, extroverted, like almost like Wolf of Wall Street esque type of closer, or are they like very introverted and just very systematized? Like what are you seeing the commonality be between the good salespeople that you see in your company and in other businesses?
Yeah, definitely not introverted. They're extroverted. They know they're salesmen, right? Like, um, they don't back down from rejection or um, a challenge. Like, they thrive on that stuff. They don't like monotonous tasks. They like to constantly be talking to people. They're not really the most organized people in the world. So
Mm,
like their CRMs are usually a little disorganized. So that's why we have a process for keeping it clean.
yeah.
They like to talk. So, if you're looking at a personality test, like they're high D, high I on a disc, right? Which is dominance and influence. So they're a high D, high I.
Mm,
Very, very communicative people. They're not introverted. They don't really like systems and structure that way. They're just kind of just talking on the phones. So some of them could be cutthroat for negotiations. Some of them could, use their EQ to negotiate, but for the most part, they're highly sociable, extroverts with a little bit of an ego. And you want that. You don't want a salesperson without an ego. You want somebody that thinks like, if you ask them, hey, who's the best salesperson you ever heard? They should say themselves.
absolutely, absolutely. And then how do you see that the difference between people that are good on acquisitions versus people on dispositions?
Dispositions, I'd say they're a little bit more not introverted, but so like how like sales could be like they could be kind of disorganized. Like when it
Mm,
comes to the dispo, you want them to have a little bit of like integrator tendencies with them. So like they're an introverted extrovert,
mm,
because they need to be a little systematized with the buy boxes and everything, keeping track of feedback and sending out deals and all that stuff. So like they need a little bit more structure and organization. That's what I've seen. We've seen happen with the best. From people that I've spoken to, they said the same thing. Some of the best wholesalers I know that are dispo heavy, like my partner Helena, and then Tyler Wanaka. Those two just come to mind right away. They're both extroverted introverts, and like they also could think in a systematic way to where the process is to make sure that you're not losing feedback. You're staying on top of stuff. Things are cleaned up. Like they might not be the most organized. And I'm not talking about the two anymore. I'm saying in general, like, they might not be the most organized anywhere else, but when it comes down to like the job and the CRM, yeah, they got it dialed in.
awesome. So it's having that extroverted approach when you're in face to face with people, but when it comes to their job and their role and what they're doing behind the computer, they got to be organized.
Yeah, yeah, because then if you send out multiple deals, you're gonna have a lot of people coming back. You got to find the system to keep track of that. How do you follow up with these
Yeah.
buyers? What are you asking? Like, there's a lot that goes into Dispo. To be honest, people think Dispo is super easy, but I mean, I think sometimes Dispo is harder than acquisitions.
Especially if you're sending out 10 deals at a week.
There's a lot. There's a
Yeah.
lot. It's like negotiating like five different contracts at the same time with three different sellers on one property.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, so it could be a lot. That's why you need some sort of a process.
And so with this, but when it comes to finding your buyers, how are you guys doing that? Are you guys just pulling lists into certain counties and areas that you guys are looking for? Are you guys doing like going on Facebook groups and just mining the Facebook groups? Is it a combination of a couple things?
Yeah, it's all tax records. I mean, we're getting all of our buyers from like Privy and public records. So we're just looking for properties that have been flipped and seeing who the if it's flipped and sold, seeing who the seller was. If it's flipped and listed, seeing who the current owner is, and then finding that LLC, putting it on open corporates, finding out who the officers are, and then true people searching the officers and then giving a call. So that's how we're finding
Awesome.
our buyers right now.
And then do you guys have a KPI on how many buyers you guys want added to your list per week or per day?
Yeah, I think it's 10 per day.
10 per day. Okay.
I think it's 10 per day. I could find that out right now. Um, yeah, 10 per day, 50 per week.
Awesome. Awesome. And by the way, I just want to say this is the most notes I've ever written on one podcast. So we're doing great right now.
Love that, man. Awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so aside from the tactical stuff, I know we've been talking a lot about tactics now. internally, as far as like mindset, what are some of the limiting beliefs, especially coming from a W-2, doing this whole 180 into real estate, and now doing it for the last 2 years? Throughout your journey, what have been some of the limiting beliefs you've had to overcome?
Yeah. So what I started like, so in Astro, let me just backtrack. In Astro, like the first week is all about mindset. So it's not even real estate, right? So the first week, you're listening to these talks. It's all about mindset, deep in mindset, like going deep and talking about how, like focus, talking about, perception of things and, all these different areas. So in meditations, like visualization, manifestation, all of that stuff before I even learned anything about real estate in the course. So I started working on my mindset way before, I guess not way before, a couple of weeks before I started making calls. But I was like so addicted to the mindset part that I spent a ton of time on the mindset. Like every time I had a free time, besides listening to the course, I would listen to like, mindset, like Joe Dispenza, Wayne Dyer, Louise Hay, Abraham Hicks, Nelvin Goddard, all these other people, and, start listening to the books, reading different books all on mindset. So I went down a heavy, heavy rabbit hole on mindset from the beginning. So I would say like I was aware of the limiting beliefs beforehand, and I knew that I was able to kind of control them um, before they really kind of took over. But before then, there was limiting beliefs, of course, and some of the ones that did start coming in that I didn't allow to last very long were like, you've never done something like this before. Like, what if you fail? Like, nobody in your family's really owned the business. Like, I mean, you're only your uncle, and he's had to fail a couple times before he built something strong. So, who knows if your first one's even going to be successful? Like, you have security. You have health insurance. Like, what happens if you lose it and it doesn't work out? All this stuff, like the same shit that most people kind of think about. But then I was thinking, like, well, okay, that's one way to think of it. But what if it goes the other way? Like, what if everything works out amazing, perfectly? I'm making more money than I made on my W-2 in a month, and everything is friggin' awesome. Like everything works out, and yeah, it might be a grind, but it's fun because the journey is a lot of fun because I know where I'm ending up. I was like, what if that then? And then I just started focusing on that because like when you start anything, right, you could either think it's going to be difficult or it's going to be easy. We have
Mm,
no idea what it's going to be, but we always tend to go down the negative route and like, oh, this is going to be difficult. But when you say something like it's going to be difficult, you're going to look for reasons why this is difficult. But if you say, you know what, this is actually going to be pretty easy, I'm going to enjoy doing this, you're going to look for reasons why this is easy and you're enjoying the journey. So instead of thinking, hey, this might be difficult, I might fail, hey, this is going to be easy, fun, and I'm going to succeed. So you just flip the script on what you normally think. Because again, you have no idea. You do not know for a fact you're going to fail. But we always tend to think like, well, what if I fail? What if I fail? Now my whole focus, instead of like succeeding, I'm focusing on trying not to fail. And I'm focusing on the failing part. So guess what's going to wind up happening? Most likely is I'm already setting a self-fulfilling prophecy and I'm going to wind up failing. And I'm just going to be like, see, I knew it. I knew it wasn't going to work out. Well, I knew it wasn't going to work out before I even did anything. I could have told myself that, So instead of thinking like that, I started just focusing on only things that I wanted, like my intention, like what I wanted to create in this world and visualizing that future all the time, living in there. So like, I'm already that person that has everything that I wanted. And I'm that person today. It's not contingent on a certain thing happening. Right. Like I didn't think I was going to be, like when I first started, before I even did my first deal, I already felt like I did thousands of deals already. I would carry myself that way. And then when I would talk to people, they'd be like, you haven't done your first deal yet? I'm like, no. Like, damn, I would have thought you've done like hundreds of deals already by the way that you speak. And then the way I absorb information now, because instead of looking at myself as a newbie, I'm like, nah, I've been doing this shit, And so like I'm able to retain information quicker too, because I'm not thinking like, oh, I'm new, it's hard to grasp all this stuff. Like I've already done thousands of deals. So like living that as that person now, you attract what that person attracts. And so the reason to my success and like how I'm able to scale a team in a short period of time has not, it does have to do with me working hard, but it's working intentionally and also having the belief that I already know it's 100% going to work out. Like there's no doubt in my mind that it's not going to work out. There's never been a plan B. I didn't need one because I knew that plan A was going to work for sure. Like when you have a plan B, you're assuming plan A is not going to work,
yeah, that's
So,
incredible.
and then every single day, constantly working on mindset all of the time. Like this is not a like, hey, I'm good. things are manifesting right now. I could kind of lay off the mindset thing. Like it's a constant practice every single day, hours and hours and hours a day. It's a 24/7 practice. Working on your mind,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
it's more important, I think, than anything else.
Of course. Especially if you like you said, if you already have that notion or that thought in your head, like, oh, what if this doesn't work out? What if I suck at this? What if I just end up quitting, or things just burn to the ground? It's like you said, it's this self-fulfilling prophecy that is bound to happen if you keep thinking about it in your head. Whereas if you take that headspace that you had and just replace it with something that is going to move you forward, like, hey, this is possible, this is doable. Thousands, hundreds of people have done this before me and are now thriving off of this beautiful business model. Why can't I do it too?
Yep.
That's what I think is the much better way to handle those types of conversations with yourself. Because in the beginning, and I was talking about this in my last podcast. The last podcast I made was celebrating my 4-year anniversary of doing my very first deal, and I talked about the thoughts that you had in your head. It took me 5.5 months to do my very first deal,
Okay.
and I talked about the thoughts in my head that I had of like, wow, like, is this like just is this even possible? Is this like a trick that people on YouTube are pulling off to make people think that this business model is possible? Because this stuff doesn't even seem real. Yet I'm here doing 6 hours of cold calling every single day, working until 11 o'clock at night trying to make this dream happen. But I never let that slow me down. I always was watching these people that like Brent Daniels, like all these influencers, all these podcasts, just seeing people's stories, and just always in the back of my head, I thought that if these people who came from the same background as me, if not worse backgrounds, and poorer backgrounds, could start and make something of themselves. And even if it took them 10 years, if it took them 3 years, it doesn't matter. As long as they knew where they were going, if they were able to get there, why can't I get there as well?
Yep. And whatever you keep your attention on is what's going to wind up manifesting into the physical realm anyway. So like if you that's why a lot of people, when they struggle to get their first deal, it has nothing to do with the amount of work they're doing. It has to do with like, what are you focusing on? Because even my first deal, like I remembered the one thing that changed that I got a deal within the first 2 weeks or first week of even changing that mindset was I was always saying to myself, like, if I don't get a deal done during busy season, it's okay because of this, or like, I'm trying to get my deal done first. So like, I didn't even fully believe that I was actually going to get it done during that time period, right? And then when I actually switched and I was like, you know what, nah, this is happening. I'm getting this done. Like, I'm gonna find a way. I'm without a doubt, I'm getting this shit done for sure. Literally, immediately, 2 days later is when that lead came in that I wound up assigning. And then another one too. When I first started, I had to cancel 15 of my own contracts in a row, right? And then, but I was selling other people's deals. I
Hmm.
canceled my own, and I was selling other deals. And there was one time I'm like, how do I sell other people's deals? And I'm the one underwriting them and coming up with a number, but I can't sell my own deal. Like, what is happening here? And then I remember when it hit me, I was about to sign another contract, and I was like, wait a second. I was aware of the thought process going, and I was like, already I started thinking like, oh damn, like another one I might have to cancel. Like, I mean, what if? And I'm like, wait a second. I'm already thinking about canceling before I even sent it out. Like, that's my issue. I'm already assuming I'm going to cancel the deal beforehand because I start thinking like, how am I going to cancel? What is this going to go like? Like, I hope I could do this right. And then I'm like, you know what? Nah, nope. This is getting sold for sure. And lo and behold, I wound up selling it sight unseen like 2 days later, full asking price. And I was like, damn, that's amazing. See how it changes when I change my focus? Like everything happens. Even some deals, like I remember I had a deal in escrow and I had like a really weird feeling. I was like, I feel like this is gonna fall out for some reason. Like something doesn't feel right. Like I don't think this is gonna happen. Lo and behold, a week after that feeling, the buyer called and said he had to back out. But then after that, I was like, I'm not losing this deal though. Like I'm still gonna find a way to get it done. We worked over the weekend and we wound up finding a buyer to come back in and still get it done, who was able to close and actually was an even better buyer, right? That we wound up doing like 10 more deals with. That was the first deal we did together, and he closed in like 4 days because he was all cash. So it worked out perfectly. So now instead of looking at things like, oh man, they're not happening the way I want, doesn't mean they're not happening the way they're supposed to, and they're not happening for a better reason. So anytime anything happens, I'm just like, all right, there's a better reason for it. So I'm here for it. I'm surrendering all control because I'm not the one in control anyway. I'm just going to keep my attention on like the good only.
I love it. I love it. I love that. That's incredible. And so let me ask you now this about your future goals. So right now you're doing 10 to 20 deals a month. You're turning around six figures a month in wholesale fees. In 3 years, what do you want your operation to look like? I know you mentioned something that you're working on, but talk to me about what that 3 year vision is ideally going to look like for your company.
Yeah, it froze a little bit.
Oh, I just asked, what is your? I want to talk about your goals for the future. So we've mentioned your present, and I know you hinted at a couple of things that you were working on that you want to implement here soon, like direct to seller and things like that. But what are your what in the next 3 years? In 3 years, what do you want to see your company look like?
Yeah, so we're working on building a national franchise. So within 3 years, I want to be franchised out. I want to have five corporate locations, each making $500,000 a month. I want to have uh, 10 franchisees by then, and each franchisee is making a minimum 100K a month. And that's what I want to happen in 3 years. So we plan on franchising out within two. The paperwork will probably take a year or so. And then that first initial year, I don't want to do more than 10 because your first 10 franchisees is the most important when you come to franchising. So I want to make sure that we have that kind of the support and everything dialed in to where each franchisee is making 100K a month, and my five corporate locations are each making $500,000 a month.
Okay, incredible, incredible. And then have you thought about in 10 years what you want your company to look like?
Yeah, I want to be the largest wholesale franchise in the country, and then where I'm taking home personally from it $1 million a month, and same with my partner. And we're also going to build we're also going to start our private equity company too, where we're going to buy a bunch of real estate and also businesses that also could help vertically integrate within the franchise as well. And yeah, pretty much within 10 years, be on the verge of being a billionaire.
Heck yeah, I love that. And
Set them
so,
high, man.
what's that?
I said set them high, right?
Set them high. Why not? Why not?
What's
I
the,
mean,
yeah, I mean, even if you fall short, it's still going to be further than you thought was possible.
absolutely, absolutely. And so on that note, since we're coming towards the halfway point of the year, what how have you done it with your goals for this year? What were your goals this year, and where do you stand with them now?
Yeah, so this year I want to have Florida fully delegated out to where me and my partner do not have to be involved in the day to day,
Hmm.
and we're still doing the same amount of volume. So we want to have that done before October, and then go into our second market and start working on scaling that second market. Um, we want by the end of the year the Florida operation fully delegated out to be making anywhere from 350 to $500,000 a month, and then we start and in the second market and start making 150 to 200K per month in that second market as well.
Awesome. Have you had any thoughts on what that second market's going to be?
Yeah, we're thinking California.
Okay. Anywhere specific or just the whole state?
Um, so NorCal and SoCal. So NorCal is more for direct, SoCal for our JV operation.
Hmm.
And the reason is like Florida is like a high volume, low fee state for the most part in the method we're in. Obviously direct to seller is a little different, but California is kind of a low volume, high fee state. So I want to test the franchise model in two different markets and see if it still could produce the same net um, or the same gross income in each market. So I want to kind of stress test the model.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, with in Florida, I mean, in California, I know the average assignment fee there is like 50 grand. If you're doing JVs and doing direct deals there, it only takes you 4 or 5 deals a month, and you're pretty much there in the six figures where your Florida franchise is.
That's it. Yeah, and then if we can make it work in both of those, and I know like any market we go in that has somewhat of activity, we'll be good. We'll be good to go.
Awesome, awesome. So, what is one piece of advice for someone getting started that you would give them?
Yeah, I would say two things. One, figure out what market you want to go in. and just do the one market. Start off in just a city, a nice city. Don't do the whole state, and then pick one method. Are you going to go direct to agent, direct to seller, or direct to wholesaler? Um, so pick one market, one method, and then the other thing is start getting into mindset. Start becoming aware of like the constant thoughts that come into your head, your emotional state, because your emotional state is tied to your vibrations. Like if you're in a low emotional state, like frustration, anger, anxiety, you start to vibrate low, and you're not going to attract high vibration activities like you want to when you're vibrating low throughout the day. So be aware of your emotional state and start becoming aware of the thoughts that you constantly think, because the thoughts that you constantly think is going to dictate how your life is going to go. So if you start becoming aware of those and changing those from disempowering to empowering thoughts, then you'll be fine. And then have the plan of the one market, one method, and just be so dialed in, and things will just start flowing your way for sure.
And so question on that. This is a personal question that I want to ask. With doing the direct model, you're saying that people should, if they wanted to do, the JV model or agent model, you don't want, if somebody were to do direct to agent where they're going straight to agents and going direct to wholesalers, that's not the right way to do it. You want to choose one.
Yep. Two different business models. I mean,
Hmm.
when you're going direct to wholesalers, you're either going to need a handful of strong dispo wholesalers that have not seen these deals already, which is unlikely,
Hmm.
or you're going to have to do a lot of buyer outreach. And so, like, you're not going to be being able to be effective if you're trying to call a bunch of agents, talk to a bunch of wholesalers, talk to a bunch of buyers at the same time. So you're going to want to pick one. If you're going to go direct to wholesaler, you're going to be outreaching to wholesalers and buyers, and you also got to learn how to run your numbers, because you're going to be able. You have to be quick. You have to be able to know to look at a wholesaler deal and know if it's a deal or not, or if it's even worth your time.
Hmm.
If you're going direct to agent, you're just going to be dialing the phones constantly, getting a bunch of properties to offer on, and then start offering on those. So those are three different business models. So if you try to go direct to agent and direct to wholesaler at the same time, it's like trying to scale two separate businesses. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, I'm gonna do people's taxes, and I'm also going to start a barbershop. You know,
Hmm.
I'm gonna try to do them both at the same time. It's not gonna happen. You're gonna be. It's two different things, right? Now it might be in the same industry, like agents and wholesalers, but it's two different models. And I'm telling you right now, you won't have as much success as you would if you just picked one of them.
Interesting. I love that. I love that. And so if you were to go back then and talk with yourself, the John that was just getting started, what would you tell him?
Just do just follow the path. I mean, just like don't change anything you're about to do. Like just trust yourself, keep doing with the mindset, keep working on the personal development, but don't change anything. Because honestly, I don't. There's no regrets, right? Like I'm here where I'm here because of decisions I made. If I go back and tell myself to start doing it earlier, I probably won't meet the same people that I would have met. I wouldn't have the same experiences that I've had. And it's not up to me to kind of change. Like I'm where I'm supposed to be at the time I'm supposed to be. It's not up to me at the end of the day. Also, right? It's up to God or source or whatever you believe in. So I want to tell myself like go get started in real estate earlier. Like no, I mean if I told myself to do it in college, I would have never probably met my girlfriend, and who knows what would have happened. So I don't regret anything. I want to tell myself to change anything. I'll just be like, hey, you know what you got to do, just do it, and just trust yourself, trust your gut, and just keep your head down and start grinding.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, I
So
want to give
so
myself any insight though. I want to tell myself anything, any little nugget. I want to be like, hey, by the way, start partnering with this person at this. I would just keep it a surprise because it's
mhm,
the way it's supposed to happen. So I wouldn't say
right.
shit.
You just let it come the way it's supposed to come.
Yeah, I'd be like, "What's up, man? Don't shave your beard. Keep it going, and yeah, just trust yourself." Like that's all I would probably tell myself.
Love it. I love it. So any last words for the podcast?
Yeah, I mean, for anybody listening, like if you're lost or you don't really know what it is you want to do or the industry or anything like that, the most important thing you could do is besides asking other people, like ask yourself and sitting down in silence, ask yourself questions because the power of every single answer is directly related to the strength of the question that you ask. So you will not ever get answers if you don't ask yourself questions. The best ideas I've ever had, the some of the insights I've had on my business all came from when I was sitting in silence and I just put a question on top of a piece of paper. How do I, why do I, what do I, whatever the question is, I put that up there and I just let myself think in silence. and I just try to tap into that universal mind and see what comes. And I just put all my thoughts on paper. So, anytime you have a question, first ask yourself to see what kind of answers you come up with. And always just be trying to grow personally. Like, yes, you could develop your knowledge as much as you can, but always spend time on personal development, like at least an hour a day. You will benefit a lot more from spending all of your time, as much time as you can, on personal development, and you'll be happier as a result. You have more peace and more joy, and it won't be conditional, because conditional happiness is the thief of real happiness. If you have to wait for a certain circumstance to be something, then you'll never be it, because then once that circumstance passes, you're no longer that. So you got to be who you want to be now. Like, you don't manifest what you want, you manifest who you are. So be who you want to be in the future now. Live as that person, feel it, and start feeling those things, and it'll attract what that person will attract. And then just be happy in the now. Only look at beauty, only look at happiness, and always look at things happening as good, never bad, because there's no such thing as good or bad anyway. It's just a matter of perception. So
Yeah.
perceive things as good and beautiful, and you'll only notice the good and beautiful.
I love it, man. I love it, man. And so where can people find you, man? Like where if somebody wants to do a deal with you in Florida, how are they going to reach out to you? How do they reach out to your team?
Yeah. So if you want to follow me, my IG is John Galan, JohnGalanRei. And if you want to do deals with us, send any of your Florida deals to deals, DEALS, at EZYRES.com. So that's deals at EasyRes.com.
Okay, awesome. I have that all in the description. That way everybody can reach out to you seamlessly. John,
I
it
appreciate
was
that.
incredible having you. This was an incredible podcast. And guys, I will see you next time. Goodbye.